It's Alive by S.L. Carpenter. Lights flickered and popped in a violent display of man-made lightning. Electric wires dangled from the ceiling as smoke rose from the large tub of water in the center of the room. A loud thud shook everything, and a wet hand emerged from the fiberglass bath, flailing frantically in the air. Its fingers scrambled at the rim, and as the water sloshed on the floor, a woman's voice rang out. Oh my fucking God. It worked. It's alive. A reading of It's Alive by S.L. Carpenter. The constant humming rolled around the dark room like an oversized bumblebee. Occasionally it became muffled, but then it would grow louder, followed by a moan just above a whisper. Finally the noise slowed steadily until it fluttered to silence. Damn, son of a bitch, just like a man. The batteries are dead again. Mary popped her head up from beneath the blanket and shook the long, dark, flesh-toned vibrator with the little clip massage attachment and lifelike throbbing action. It buzzed and chirped a couple more times, then died again. Fuck! She threw the toy into her nightstand and rummaged around in the drawer looking for something else. There was an array of devices alongside the vibrator: kitchen utensils, a spatula, hand puppets, a rubber duck squeak toy, some furry handcuffs next to a large jar of petroleum jelly, and a feather duster. But nothing would work. She had an itch that needed scratching, and only a good dose of long, hard man meat would do the job. So she decided to go find some. Batteries would be cheaper and less of a hassle, but sometimes getting laid had to be done properly in order to curb a woman's appetite, even if it meant she had to sleep in a wet spot. She couldn't just lie in bed anymore, frustrated and frisky. She was irritated that the batteries had died in her expensive vibrator. At the same time, all the other batteries in the house had passed on, from overuse. Sighing, she acknowledged that her excess battery usage came from the fact she never liked the whole dating and bar scene. It usually meant that she would have to be with men, would be jockeying for a position on the studometer, and the women all wanted to be hit on without letting the men think they were easy. Mary didn't give a shit. She was horny and didn't want to have to settle for just any man lingering around the bar, most likely one in a depressed state of self-doubt. She would much prefer the one who could fuck her like a porn star. The pickings were slim at the local bar. Mary wasn't a regular, but could identify the douchebags a mile away with her loser magnets. She seemed to always be attracted to losers, so if she saw a guy and was attracted to him, bingo, he was a loser. She knew she was an attractive woman, 5'8" of great curves, a couple well paid for, a perfect set, and she was aware she radiated an aura of confidence that came from knowing she was smarter than the most people around her. Being a blonde had made it harder for her in school, because her peers saw blonde and thought she was dumb. Most students in her class had no idea she was a genius. Comparisons to many brilliant minds of science and medical practice icons became routine in conversation and her recommendations. Her test scores were off the charts, and she was a lethal combination of brains and a smoking hot body. After all of her schooling and hard work, she ended up as chief operating officer at the city morgue. She never had problems being around the dead or any other of the less than pleasant things associated with her job. But that particular position required a lot of time alone, which only added to her need of a rock-hard beef injection on this particular night. Men wandered her way, dropped a few of their best lines, and were dismissed as she did her bug light impression, blowing them off like annoying moths. She did have some standards, but hearing lines like, "Great legs, what time do they open?" or "My penis just died, can I bury it in your ass?" pissed her off more than appealed to her. She wished that they could be at least somewhat original, or more than an orangutan with a limp dick. "You look like you might be interested in some great conversation." A man sat down confidently beside her. He was polite, and on a scale of 1 to 10, Mary rated him an easy 8. Tall, with black wavy hair touching his collar, he seemed harmless enough and not overly eager to hit on her like a dog in heat ready to hump her leg. She decided to risk it. "If you buy me another drink, we can talk." "I'm Peter. Nice to meet you." He motioned to the bartender for another drink. "Not sure what you're having, but he'll know." "My name is Mary." She held out her hand and he shook it firmly. They sat for a while talking about completely irrelevant things. He was charming, had a steady job, and wasn't continuously trying to flirt or say rude sexual innuendos, which meant he actually wasn't just trying to fuck her, even though she wouldn't mind. They liked a lot of the same things, and his subtle glances at her legs and breast were cute, letting her know he was interested in more than just talking about the weather. After doing her standard 10-point check, along with her routine Q&A, Mary was done talking and decided to take care of what she came for. "You have a car?" she asked. "Of course I do." "I'm not here to play games. I need to fuck somebody. The battery's died on my vibrator, and I'm insanely horny and need to get seriously fucked to clear my head so I can think. Are you up for it?" Swallowing, Peter puffed out his chest like a peacock. "Oh yeah, I'm the man for the job." "Good answer. This is a job. I expect to have 3 orgasms by night's end. Either fingers, tongue, or cock, so buckle up for the ride." Mary told Peter she would follow him, and he figured it was so she could make a quick getaway if she needed to. He stood beside his car and jingled his keys as she walked up. "My place is right up there." He motioned to the stairs leading to the building behind him. He watched her as she took each step up and felt an urge to cry. "Oh my God, what a beautiful ass. I can't wait to slap that when I can feel you staring at my ass, Peter. It's getting hot." Standing at the door, he fumbled with the keys and tried his best to look cool. "Just relax and put it in the hole," Mary whispered as she stood behind him. Stepping inside, she looked around. He kept things very basic and neat. There wasn't a lot of room, but he knew she was thinking of his bed more than anything else. A wicked grin crossed her face as she turned to him. Before he could say anything, her hand was on his cock and her tongue was down his throat. Then she dropped to her knees while unfastening his pants and lowering his zipper. He opened his mouth to say something, but he choked on the words when she pulled his pants down to his ankles. He stumbled back against the wall as she peeled his underwear over his hard cock. She hesitated, and Peter wondered if it was because of the strange arc of his cock that made it look like a banana. He'd been told it was a rather nicely sized banana, so he was happy to see that she eagerly began to practice her sword-swallowing skills. She was very talented. Peter threw back his head and groaned. Mary was merciless, and she never flinched as every inch of him entered her throat. Porn actresses would have been jealous of how well she pleasured him, with expertise and pure animal lust. Then she popped him free from her mouth. "I don't want to waste this." Saliva shone across her red lips as she licked them. "I want to feel you buried inside of me." She led him to the bed by his cock, pulling him along like a dog on a leash. With a tug, she moved him beside the bed and pushed him down. Standing in front of him, she teasingly pulled her panties down, and they fell to her feet as she wiggled her legs. Lifting one foot, she dropped the wet panties beside him on the bed. Then she gathered up her skirt to reveal a freshly shaved pubis. Lowering her fingers between her legs, she began to rub between her swollen labia. The juices glistened on her fingers as she slid them around her pussy. "You like that, Peter?" Peter licked his lips and stared at her pussy. "Oh, hell yeah! Damn, baby, you're so..." Mary put her fingers over his mouth. "Shh. I want to make a few things perfectly clear. I want you quiet except for moaning before you come. I want that mouth either eating my pussy or sucking my nipples. As long as you have condoms and can keep that great hard cock, I'm going to fuck it. Swallowing, Peter fell back on the bed, reached into the small nightstand, pulled out a box of condoms. I just bought a 12-pack.